but
I'm good. I've been just buried all morning, so.
No, it's all good. Like I said, I got a bunch of stuff. So, howdy.
Hey, buddy.
How are you, sir?
Good, man. Awesome.
Awesome.
Did 6 miles this morning. Came back. Been working on some demo reels all day.
Trying to get
Other than that. Well, it's just kind of like got to add one more thing to the. I'm trying to find some more net play to put into this demo reel, and I just don't have it yet. So I'll have it done later today, but I just got to get it off to our prospective coaches soon. But Easter weekend. What did I do? Went to a movie yesterday. Went and saw the new John Wick.
Oh, how is that?
It's like the body counts just keep piling up, I mean, it's just relentless. I don't even remember which is which of these movies, but
I don't think I've ever seen one.
Oh, they're hysterical. I mean, it's sort of like
I don't even know the concept.
Oh, just assassins on assassins kind of stuff. So it's just massive brawls with tons of people. Yeah, but I love the action, the choreography, with the way. Well, you have to watch it to get it, but it's a lot of martial arts type stuff, but with weapons. And it's just super clean the way they're like fighting with pistols too, and doing whatever their Krav Maga or I don't even know what they're actually doing, but they're all doing all these headshots when they finish guys off and stuff. But the point I was getting at in this one, they bring in a lot more. A lot of good on-site location stuff. Osaka, so you get a lot of samurai type play in certain sections, lots of sword work. And then Berlin, and what else? And then of course Paris, yeah. But it's in the earlier ones, you'd have these like shorter scenes where there'd be these massive throwdowns, piling up body counts, and this one is just nonstop. I mean, there's this scene at Soccer Core that just, they just litter Paris with like 500 bodies basically in a matter of 4 hours.
Holy
and you're like, oh, there's no cops. It's like no police are showing up. But it's at Arc de Triomphe, it's Soccer Core. This Berlin nightclub scene is pretty outrageous. But it's just fun. It's fun to watch. So, but that was it. So did some Easter stuff, work, of course, great weather over the weekend. So enjoyed that. How about you? What'd you do?
Good. You sound like you got a little cold.
No, it's just the allergies. Allergies are always popping up on me.
Bad lately. Well, my wife started my weekend off with this, so I was a happy camper.
What you got there? Oh, nice. A little roast.
Prime rib I've ever had. Absolutely
awesome.
Perfectly cooked, perfectly tenderized, just beautiful. So, then let's see what else. Put together a bed and a nightstand for my daughter. And did I do anything exciting? No, not a fucking thing.
Yeah, well, it's rest time. I mean, I was doing some trading, but more watching a lot of stuff. I was messing around in some of the liquidity pools on Camelot for a bit, but I just got stuff in there. What else? All the international people, it's not a holiday for them really, so I was messaging a lot of people overseas, a lot of Asian folk, and just it's the same old, tons of work.
Yeah.
But, trying to stay on top of this.
John Wick movies have oddly become a Christmas and Easter holiday classic for us here. That is odd.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're fun movies. I mean, it is, but you gotta like the action movies.
Right.
If you don't like that, you're not going to enjoy it because there's not a lot of Shakespearean thespianism going on. Let's put it that way.
There's no big deep storyline.
No, but Keanu's kind of tough on that. Every time he tries to say something profound, I just keep seeing the Matrix scenes in my head all the time. When he's like, oh, or I see, what was that one when, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or what was he in that one? Or maybe I'm mixing titles up, but he just plays kind of the valley boy.
Yeah.
the surfer dude. So it's kind of hard to, I don't know. You just have to enjoy it for
Of
funness,
course. Yeah, you suspend disbelief and you just have fun with it. That's what that's meant for.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, anyway, well, we got a new Spider-Verse movie coming out, so I know I'll be seeing that with my son because he's a huge Spidey fan. We'll see. Anyway, let's get into some news. There was an exploit on Sushi Swap this weekend. If you had interacted with Sushi Swap in the last 4 days, you need to revoke permission for the contract. It was the newest version of Sushi Swap that came out. There was a bug in it. And looks like I saw a post that Sifu had been hit for about $3.3 million worth of out of his wallet, siphoned out of his wallet. The cool thing is, if you're a Rabby user, it's really easy to get rid of approvals. You just go into the wallet that you're worried about. You click on the approvals button, and then you can search on the contract addresses. I'll put the link in the show notes. But the guys at DeFi Llama listed out all the contracts in a GitHub that you need to search on one on each chain that you need to search for if you think you may have used Sushi Swap in the last 4 days. Otherwise, they say that if that contract address doesn't exist, you're fine. Any other interactions prior to that with Sushi Swap should be fine. This was a new bug. Niblet says Rabby provides one of the easiest ways to revoke. It's still a lot of work to do it. Yeah, I mean, you've got to go through every wallet. If you have multiple wallets like I do, you got to go through every chain. You got to paste in the contract, and that's what you got to do. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say that's the other thing I was doing over the weekend. I forgot about that. But I do it all in like Etherscan or Polyscan.
Yeah, you can do it in the scanners.
I do it in all of those, and I was actually surprised because, of course, I got just one of my wallets is just loaded up with contracts, but, an ETH wallet, and I just never want to clean it up because, it usually seems like it's $18, but I was surprised. It was like $2 a revocation. So maybe that's because it was Saturday morning or something, but yeah, I was doing that too. And I thought, because I've been on Sushi quite a bit, but not in the last 4 days, but in the last, couple of months. And, and I only had like 8 or 10 to revoke. So I just revoked all of them across all the chains. And it took an hour, maybe tops.
Yep. Well, and now most of the wallets now and many of the protocols are defaulting to approvals that are only the amount for that transaction, which means an extra click every time you do a new transaction to approve. But from my perspective, it's better than leaving your wallet wide open with some infinite amount of money that can be executed on a contract that might end up having a bug or getting hacked later on. So I really prefer that as my default mode, and I'll take the extra click for now to deal with it. I've been doing a lot lately on Beefy. I just find that interface elegant. I'm doing a lot with the Canto pools. And doing nicely. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, so Rabby makes it easier for me because I can just go from one wallet to the next, find the contract, and revoke all in one place. But yeah, is it revoke.io? I think is another site that does it.
I think it's revoke.something, man. I can't remember exactly.
But Etherscan, as Joe said, Polyscan, each of the chains has their own scanner, Blockchain Explorer that you can go in and revoke contracts for on your wallet address. Just search on your wallet address and connect it, and you can revoke that way. So anyway, just be careful out there.
Yeah, you have to go to, when you go to the scanners, you have to go into, I think it's the token section, and there'll be a thing in there that says, maybe it's contracts or approvals. I think it says approvals.
Yeah.
And it says beta next to it too, just so you know. But you just go right in there, and then you connect your you paste the wallet address in, and then you connect it to Web3. There's another button to do that. I mean, it took me a couple of minutes to figure it out because you know me, I'm always like showing up, and it's like, where the fuck is all this stuff? And then but once you're in it was very simple. And I like the fact that it's right in there on chain, versus trying to do it on another provider. Like for me, like Revoke, I never quite I know they're probably fine, but I just have never trusted all those groups. I mean, I don't really trust anybody, to be honest, but I figure I'd rather just do it in the one that's part of the chain versus another provider for whatever reason. And maybe I'm being paranoid, but it seems like everybody gets hacked eventually.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Nah, it's smart. It's smart to be safe, man. That's smart. Niblet says, good to revoke no matter what. Good hygiene, peeps. Yeah, I just went through and started revoking everything this weekend. I didn't do it on main chain everything because I didn't want to pay for it. But like you said, it was cheap. Shizzy said I was doing some stuff on each Sunday morning and the gas fees were zero. It was crazy. Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic, dude. Deloitte is saying in recent data they've compiled from surveys that nearly 75% of retailers plan to accept cryptocurrency payments within the next 2 years. That is some bullish as fuck information as far as I'm concerned. That to me is absolutely fantastic. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how critical it is that we start getting payments in the process, right? People dependent on it, the infrastructure in place, merchants needing it, merchants being able to spend what they receive for the goods that they sell to the consumer. All of those things need to start happening in the system. So this is really, to me, amazing news. So this was a sample of 2,000 senior executives from the retail industry who represent a range of subsectors, including cosmetics, electronics, fashion, transportation, food, and beverage. That's a really good sign.
yeah, no, I mean, on that same note, like use cases or demand, I don't remember where I read it. Maybe it was Jarvis Labs, but it was a good piece on the ordinal stuff, on Bitcoin and how, everybody hears NFT and, thinks what we usually think of NFTs,
right?
A picture, but how this being used for all these other things now, work product, contracts, reports, analysis, all these different things that people are using and how it's, really going to expand, say, the BTC use case as well in ways that people aren't thinking about.
Yeah.
So again, more evidence about how, including the stuff we talked about last week, but more evidence about how no matter what you see going on in the regulatory environment, I mean, this stuff's just going forward.
Yeah,
and
I
corporate
agree.
America
totally
is going
agree.
forward. Financial, Wall Street's going forward. The most powerful constituents in this country are going forward with this.
Yeah.
And it's really at the end not going to matter what the regulators say.
I agree.
Because they're just going to do it. So ignore the
they'll
FUD.
get slapped back down. You know what I mean? They will get slapped down. Niblet says when it becomes an actual medium exchange, the on-off ramps won't matter anymore. This cannot happen fast enough.
Right.
Speaking of on-off ramps, let me find this one. I have it later on in the thing, but I want to find this. Here we go. These guys at a hackathon, fucking genius. They created at this hackathon on let me see where it is. On the ZK hackathons. So I guess this is for all ZK chains. I don't know. But anyway, they conceived of and built this thing in the weekend that allows you, if you wanted to exchange without using a bank, you wanted to on-ramp your cash into crypto, right? You can put into their marketplace what you want to buy. So whatever it is, let's say 1 Bitcoin, right? Or a tenth of an ETH, right? You put it in, somebody agrees, you agree to a price with somebody that has that and wants to exchange it with you. And you agree to a price. The ETH that you're wanting to buy gets escrowed in a smart contract. Then you go to Venmo, you send them the money to the address that they've said, right? To the Venmo recipient that they've said. You then take the verification code that Venmo gets you. This thing works off of that. You paste it in and the money is released from escrow.
Wow. That is super cool. I mean, that just basically turns it into like local Bitcoins again, but in ways that are protected and safe.
Yep.
That is straight peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it'll take.
You don't have to go to the Wendy's parking lot to exchange cash for a fucking wallet.
Yeah, the back of the strip bar. Yeah, no.
You sounded like somebody who's done that before, Joe.
No, I was just thinking of it. I was watching some Sopranos this weekend too. I was streaming a little of that just for fun, and it made me think about that because I remember reading all the articles on people when they were the miners, 10 years ago, when they'd be swapping it out for cash, and you have to go meet someone and blah, 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 and take cash, obviously, running it like a drug deal, basically. And, that's dangerous. But I'm wondering with the Venmo, how long it's going to take till they try to shut that part down. And can they?
How can they? But here's my idea that I tweeted. I retweeted this and I said, why not use this for FedNow?
Yeah, well, I was reading up on FedNow too over the weekend, and it's not, people are kind of getting it confused with the central bank. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying people are with like the central bank coins.
No.
Yeah, well, no, but what it's really just
funds, right?
Between institutions. Yeah.
Oh, between institutions only?
Right now, yeah, it's not for individuals.
I thought it was going to be individuals too.
Well, that's why I think what people go to the central bank coin concept or the whatever it would be for the U.S. if it was going to be one, and they think that's part of FedNow, and it really isn't yet. Right now, it's just. But I mean, but you're right. Yeah, you are right though. If it could get there, but I think. Again, that's going to mean that individually we would all have accounts at FedNow, which, I don't think we really want as individuals.
Well, I mean, it gets interesting, right? What happens to banks if FedNow adds the person-to-person thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume that they would still make it connected to your bank account, just like Zelle, right? That's how it would function and just make it faster and easier. But anyway, I love this creativity. And
yeah, me too.
I think that Venmo could eventually say, "Oh yeah, here's all the records of people that have done transfers. We're going to block anybody that used this solution." So they could theoretically do that, but it's probably difficult to catch up to. And I would look at this for like Cash App. I would look at Zelle transfers, whatever. It's a clever method. They also made the note that, your transfer is then viewable because all the Venmo transfers are in their feed. You can see every transfer, that kind of thing. But it's still a really clever solution to getting around central banks. I mean, the banking on.
Yeah. Well, but also it gets around, like we said earlier, the local Bitcoins thing. Because remember, that's cash and crypto, but all the Craigslist stuff that goes on with people getting robbed, showing up with cash to buy whatever. I think the innovation of, the story you just alerted me to, the ZK stuff, is it's on that side. It's on the escrow side.
Yeah.
Where the coins are escrowed, and then you have to enter the confirmation of transfer, I guess, transaction ID on the cash side to get those coins released. To me, I don't know how the regulators get into ZK basically to stop that.
Yeah.
That's the big innovation to me, that escrow, that easy escrow piece. You could, instead of, like you said, instead of using Venmo, you could use Cash App, you could use PayPal.
Yeah.
All it means is changing the transaction ID.
Exactly.
And, there's a lot of other ways to do it too. I mean, maybe, maybe there's a way, like if you're using some other asset other than cash or something like that, there's another market where you could do that, because all you need is that transfer piece to get it released. And I don't see how anybody gets at that. Because if they go to Venmo and say, "Oh, you got to stop doing that," Venmo's going to be like, "Stop doing what?" People are just transferring money.
Yeah. Doing their own thing.
We don't know what they're doing with transaction IDs after that.
Exactly.
How is everything to do with us? And then maybe I guess they would try to blacklist addresses, but Venmo wouldn't want to do that either.
Well, and I think that these guys talked about potentially figuring out a way to encrypt that so that when you submit, that Venmo ID isn't on chain to be seen visibly, but the escrow system recognizes and then authorizes the transfer. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be very hard for it to be stopped, I think.
I think so too. I think that's a great development. I mean, look, just remember, we always kind of joke about it a little bit, but they're still focused on the ICO craze of 2017.
Yeah, exactly.
So, they're going to tackle ZK escrow services in 2035?
Exactly.
So, I mean, again, and combine all that with the user adoption stuff we talked about earlier. I mean, it just becomes sort of, what is it? The horse has left the barn, or whatever that phrase is, where there's no point anymore. It becomes moot.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
to me, I think that all this hullabaloo, I was thinking more just before we go to the next story that a lot of this hullabaloo about, because coming, like I read somehow I've told you how I, switched phones and forgot to transfer the authenticator app or whatever. I mean, it
Yeah.
shows you how much I've been using Coinbase to off ramp, but, I was trying to get that reset up today or excuse me, Saturday. And what a friggin' nightmare. I mean, 5 sets of verifications of IDs, another PIN, another manual verification, and then basically then you can go switch it. But then you got to have the PIN. So, I kind of was like thinking about when I saw it coming in before I got the verification and added some more information. It was like you can only withdraw, is what they were saying. And so I started thinking more about. We talked about the on and off ramps, and they're really not blocking the off ramps. I don't know what the banks are doing at this point. Are they like scrutinizing this now to watch the accounts?
I've had my bank PNC for my my personal bank. I've had it twice now hold up withdrawals from Binance US and question me about the withdrawal, and then they release it. But so it took an extra day or two. But that's
what do
the
they
closest
ask?
I've seen. They ask what the transaction is for, what it's from, blah blah blah. And I just say it's from my
Binance. Oh yeah. Because I mean, I know like when I see it on my statement or in the past from my bank, it shows from Coinbase.
Yeah.
So I figure they know what it is.
Yeah, they have to know what it is. I think they just are making sure that they show that they questioned the transaction. But that was months ago. I haven't had that happen in a long time.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what I kind of was getting at is it, it's obviously the on ramps they're focused on right now. And, I wonder, since it's pretty recent, when we talk about the banking situation and stuff like that, I wonder if there was just a panic mode over there or something where they started feeling like when people were withdrawing from all of those banks, SVB, Signature, maybe First Republic or something, that they were fearful that it was all going to go pouring into crypto. And that there was going to be an exodus into crypto. I don't know, but it just seems, again, always a day late and a dollar short, these guys. So.
Hey, Niblett said this is how AirTM works in Latin America. I guess it's a similar model for exchanging money for crypto. Never heard of it, but I'll take a closer look at that.
AirTM, okay.
Shizzy said FedNow is just Cash App and Venmo, and he said easiest off ramp is just send Bitcoin to Cash App. You can have the cash in your bank in 20 minutes. That's true. I have done that before, and I do like that. I will tell you, I sent a tweet to Brian Armstrong this weekend that blew up quite a bit, and
I thought you guys were like a couple when I saw that tweet. I was like,
like 157,000 views on that fucking tweet. It was fucking ridiculous. But the point was that it was completely genuine. I'm thoroughly impressed with the fucking shit they're doing, and their interface is awesome. I did find out in the course of that, though, that the subscription for fee-free trading is not for their advanced trading. It's only for the one where they make money on the fucking price point. So I am not subscribing to Coinbase One. There's no benefit to me if it doesn't also allow me to trade fee-free on the advanced trading. So anyway, speaking of SVP, this is a fascinating fucking article. It's at puck.news. This article details the inside of what was happening at SVP the last 2 weeks to try to save the bank. And can you guess, Joe, they were this close to pulling it all out. They had a deal to unload all the bonds. They had a deal to sell more of their equity. Can you guess? What kept them from saving the bank? The VCs calling for fucking withdrawals from the accounts. They were they were that fucking close. I'm going to put this in the show notes. Read this fucking article. It's absolutely fascinating. The machinations they were going through to save that bank. And they had an equity deal done for another $35 million. It would have been enough, or no, even more than that. I don't remember, but billions of dollars overall. They had a deal in place that was going to save that bank. but the 24-hour bank run started by Peter Thiel and David Sachs and those guys killed it, because not only on top of that, the Signature Bank announcement, because what happened was they were selling equity at a discount off of the price, which at that point was like $260 a share. And then Signature announced, and on the same day, the VC started their run on the bank, telling everybody to get their fucking money out. And the price overnight dropped more than half, I think down to $105 a share. And that completely destroyed the deal they had in place that would have kept them from going under, which is pretty ironic since the VCs have relied on this bank to support and grow and lend to all of their portfolio companies for all these years. Their panic kept them from saving the bank. So anyway, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been following that much the last couple of weeks. I think it's been more than a couple of weeks since that happened, but it just seemed to me like, I mean, it was so heavily weighted to, you know, all the VC portfolio companies that were there. And, you know, I mean, when you took money from, let's just say Sequoia, I don't know if it was Sequoia, but let's just pick a bit Kleiner, whatever, that they mandated that you went to SVB. Yeah. You know, you had to go there because that's where everybody else in the portfolio was.
Exactly.
And it just seems weird to me that, I mean, I guess they were so terrified that all their companies were going to go under that they hit the panic button and got them all to start withdrawing. But, you know, normally I would think that somebody was shorting the hell out of it. But it just seems like that for guys and gals that are supposed to be so like steely balled, basically, to go into panic mode. Now, I don't put David Sachs and those guys in the category of a real VC. They're just not. But, you know, the real VC funds and firms, Thiel's guys and all that, those guys, you know, they should know better than that.
Yeah.
That, you know, one, you shouldn't put everybody in the same bank. That's for darn sure.
Of course.
But also, you're supposed to be tougher than that. You don't like go in panic mode. And I don't know if he did, and I'm not trying to pick on him in particular. He's got plenty of issues to deal with these days. I don't know if you've been following that one where some like partner of his like killed himself or something. And you just look that story up. I mean, that's just a twisted story.
Oh, no, I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to read the article. I don't want to cast aspersions, but you know, it just seems like that the big VCs, you know, wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't give a shit about SVB. They'd have the money from JP Morgan or something like that.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot more to this story, I think, than any of us know. And it just seems like a total panic shit show. And it's not one that really makes sense from a VC profile, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It was crazy. I mean, again, I guess you get one free read because I'm not subscribed to Puck, but it's puck.news. Fascinating. You know, look, the bank guys, they made stupid mistakes weighting so much of their cash to bonds, right? They just weighed, they did too much when it was too discounted. And that's ultimately what put them in trouble. But they had a deal. They sold all of their bond portfolio, and they were going to take I think it was an 8% hit on the ultimate value of it. But they got a pretty good deal from Goldman Sachs Goldman was going to go sell the bonds.
Yeah.
Right. And they had a deal. And so they were going to lose $2 billion out of $25 billion of value. And between that and the cash from the equity raise, they were fine. They were going to be just golden. But between Signature and the VCs freaking out, the VCs actually killed the VC bank. So
yeah, no, I mean it's also that you know, I mean, when they bought all these bonds, it was, I think, at zero interest rate, so they were locking in it what looked like a good deal. And, you know, the fact that they didn't start rebalancing the portfolio over the last, 3 years now, right, to me is just astoundingly stupid.
Definitely.
But then when they all start selling, you know, 3 million in shares the day before it goes under or the week before it goes under, you know, senior management, you know, I mean, that's, to me, they knew it was going bad at that stage. So I would like to know when that Goldman deal was, on the table to be signed versus when they started dumping shares.
Yeah.
And I bet you're going to find that it was right after that deal and right after that first run, right after when that deal could have been signed, and after that first run that you said when the stock price went from 260 to 105. Probably right around there is when they started dumping, or just before that.
Yeah, they don't mention that in this article, but that definitely would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, to me, once they start doing that, everybody knows. It's not like you can go be an insider at SVB and dump $3 million worth of shares as a senior executive and not have, you've got banks not banks, but investment banks that, that move those shares for you. They're not on E-Trade doing it. Right. So the word gets out and then everybody starts shorting or whatever. But to me, I'd really love to see the timeline of, the article that you're talking about here and those sales and, the David Sachs and his crew. What's his podcast called?
All In.
Yeah, those guys. And when they started really, talking it up, I think that'd be a pretty interesting exercise to figure that out.
I agree. Evidently, Binance US, according to the Wall Street Journal, is having serious difficulty getting banking partner. I guess nobody wants to touch them, and I bet everybody's instructed not to touch them. So I'm kind of glad I moved everything to Coinbase this last week. So
yeah, I mean, Binance US, it's not going to make it. I'm sorry. It's just with all the other stuff in play on Binance proper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to be shunned because half the people don't even know the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right. And, do you think they know the difference between Binance, International and Binance US?
Right.
No, they don't. And they're just going to think it's all Binance. Which to me is a shame because, I mean, I never used Binance US, but I think you guys were using it and a lot of other people I know were using it, and it seemed like it worked. Yeah, but it was good product.
It was great. And it was a great platform. I mean, it's Binance. It's the same as the Binance platform, fewer pairs and less volume, but it functioned great, worked great, could get my money in and out. That was all good.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering now, I noticed when that started happening that Coinbase stock went from like 35 to like 60 something.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is today, but
because of my tweet.
Yeah, I'm waiting for for the acquisition to come.
Yeah.
Because
it makes sense, right? That does make sense. You're right. That makes a ton of sense. Buy up the resources and the customers and maybe spin it out as your advanced trading platform completely, right? Except they used to have a separate one and they've integrated it all in, so they may not want to do that. But the customers, I'm sure they'd love to have the customers.
Flip that out and then go into the, base product. Right. Flip out the centralized regulated piece, go into base. I mean, just like what CZ was always talking about, wanting to go decentralized. But I think the Coinbase thing is the biggest analog to me is WIT Capital from maybe 99-ish, when I think they were doing the allowing the small guys and gals to get into the IPO allocations. And, they got some money from Goldman. I think they got, a couple billion, and they were running that. And then 90 days later, Goldman bought the whole thing. And they bought it because of, it was a bunch of unbanked people, not unbanked completely, but not banked by the big wealth management firms type people that were in there getting IPO allocations. And so they bought it for the customers. So to me, I think that's the natural play for Coinbase is, you want those customers. Yep. If you're, Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley or the big wealth management groups, you want to bring those people into the fold because Coinbase is going to be predominantly Americans, I guess, but you're going to get that regulated crew of people in there that are making money, the new money people, because they have all the old money people. Yeah. And they're always trying to find the growth. So to me, that's why I'm surprised. I was kind of surprised when I saw that stock price had recovered, because I thought the whole strategy was to just beat it into the ground and then have someone come in and be like, Goldman says to the regulators, oh yeah, we'll take it off your hands for you, but you owe us one, kind of thing,
Look at these,
So
look at these
who
volume
knows?
charts for all the top 10 exchanges over the last 7 days.
All down.
All down.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty precipitously. Like, because I remember when I looked at Coinbase last week, their volume was over a billion. And now it's down to 657 million. And if you take a look down at those volume graphs over the last 7 days, everything's fucking sucking wind.
Is that 657 million? Is that for the week or the day?
24
or
hours.
24 hours. Okay. Yeah, I saw that stat sometime in the last couple of days too. And I remember I was looking and I was like, I mean, maybe I saw a market cap number instead, but I did think it was low. And I saw number 6
down.
Well, I mean,
wonky ones, BKE.
Yeah, I don't know what, maybe the volume's going down. The other thing that was talked about frequently was the amount of, stable coins down, which I think a lot of that is the BUSD sort of retirement move or whatever. But, but yet prices stay up.
Yeah.
So, I just don't really get what's going on in my mind, because people just aren't selling.
No.
And so nobody's buying, I guess, much, but nobody seems to be selling. I think it's like everybody's waiting for something.
Now, I will say this, all of them have had a surge in the last 24 hours, and that's probably because weekend drops, whatever, holiday. But, Kraken, Coinbase, Binance, all have had, all of them have had in the 30% gain range in the last 24 hours, with Kraken having 138% in the last 24 hours, Bitstamp 91%. Anyway, by the way, back on AirTM real quick. Niblet says AirTM posts a trade to the marketplace. Other peer picks it up. AirTM coordinates bank to bank and wallet to wallet transfers. That's cool. Niblet says, so I just sent your bank account money from mine. Your wallet sends my wallet the token. Fiat and crypto world keep separate. No on or off ramping. Oh, that's cool. I wonder if can you do that if you're an American? Can you use that, or do you have to be LATAM?
That's just AirTM. That's just AirTM.
Yeah, that's cool. 0x NGMI from DeFi Llama said a lot of people talking about USDT market cap falling by billions. At DeFi Llama, we collect on-chain data for all the chains where USDT is deployed to, and we're not seeing that drop. So they are not seeing any decline in USDT volume. Let's see what this is. Oh, I mean, we just quickly can touch on the fact that Elon threw another hissy fit this weekend. Blocked Substack because they created a competitive product, but not only blocked it, blocked likes, blocked retweets, but actually on all Substack links put warnings that the link may be unsafe. So in the process of throwing his hissy fit, he also harmed everybody on Twitter that has a Substack as their primary source of revenue from subscribers, right? So just childish, shitty, ego-based behavior. Just this guy just keeps.
It makes me just wonder. I mean, I saw an article over the weekend too, Times or Washington Post or somewhere about Twitter and the alternatives to Twitter, and then talking about Twitter, and it just gets to where you're like, and then somebody else was talking about the mindless scrolling through Twitter to fill time. And I'll tell you what, I just kind of see an expiration date built in there now, because people aren't talking about it the same way as they were a year ago.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody's looking for an alternative. I mean, there really isn't one, but at least one that's everybody's on. But at the same time, people are just, people are so just sick of it. I mean, myself, I barely went in this weekend because I'm just kind of sick of it too. In the sense of that, I mean, I get it. It's like everybody's, releasing the first nugget of some potential news story, and then everybody's sorting it out. But just the amount of disinformation that rips through there fast before it gets corrected, it's just not worth it to me to have the emotional investment in it. And, I'm kind of the person who wants to read about it after it happens. I want to, when 5,000 people have already kind of figured it out, and then here's what happened, and you can actually take action on it. So much of the information in there is just, and to its credit, it's what it's supposed to be. It's just raw and unfact checked, and that kind of, to me, just becomes a waste of time. I know people like it. It just doesn't fit with time constraints. So I don't really sit there scrolling mindlessly through anything. But it's a shame, because it really could be a cool friggin' platform. And I haven't been on it for years like everybody else, but I have, but I haven't really used it much other than maybe the last year. But was it always this way, or is this all post Elon? Just kind of the negative stuff that's there. I guess when all the politics stuff was going on there, it was probably just worse. But
yeah, look, it's always been bickering and fighting, but I've gotten a lot of value out of Twitter over the years.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's been fantastic. And I still, I learn every day. Half the news and shit that I follow, it comes from it. But at some point, people will reach a limit. When fucking Matt Taibbi, who was on the payroll basically for Elon, says "fuck you" this weekend, that's interesting to Twitter.
Oh yeah. Well, there was another
all
Elon
his revenues from Substack.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the thing is, like, if you're going to create real content, you do it on other platforms, and then you, I guess, steer people to it from Twitter, because that's where the reach is. But if you're going to block all of that,
CEO decides to
fuck
you.
Well, the other thing he did over the weekend or last couple of days or whatever was, labeling NPR as, state-sponsored media. And it's like, it's ridiculous because
and the BBC
and a bunch of other ones. And it's like, they don't really get funding from the government like that. It's not like it's Pravda or RT. Yeah. Or the China Times or any of those. It's not like a government publication, and so he had to come back and retreat from that. And he said, same with PBS. He's like, oh shit, I didn't know that. Literally like less than 10% of the funding comes from, a government source. The rest of it comes from like, go ahead.
That's his biggest problem is he fucking jumps into this shit without thinking. It's just like how he's fucked up the product. Like everyone was all excited about the panacea of the fucking freedom marketplace on Twitter that was going to come from Elon. Well, instead of a freedom marketplace, he's blocking shit left and right. And I've seen no advancements in the product improvement. There is zero improvement in this fucking platform or product from a technical perspective. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I have the same Twitter Blue I had before. I subscribed to Twitter Blue because I liked the features and functionality. I'm constantly encountering bugs, constantly encountering shit that they're shipping into fucking production that they haven't tested. It's just, he's a train wreck. He has no business running this business. He needs to find a good product guy and let him run the business because he's going to fucking kill it.
Yeah. It's the impulsiveness too. And it's the insecurity that he has. It's like he's a weak, he's a weak person mentally. He might be a genius and all that shit, but he's mentally is, just takes shit too personally. Like when he fired or banned all the reporters from the platform and journalists and everything. That's just silly. Anybody who criticized him or criticized anything else, they get banned.
Yeah.
And, that's like,
well, you know what he did after Taibbi quit? He took all of his tweets out of the search results. So you couldn't search on Taibbi's name. You couldn't search on any of the content that he'd ever posted over the years. It's just childish. Anyway.
Well, yeah. So if you're, so basically, look, if you're at SpaceX, you're an investor in SpaceX or Tesla and all that. The big financial institutional guys. What are they? I'd be like, what the fuck do you think about that, guys?
Yeah.
You got 10 billion in this deal, and he's over here so micromanaging Twitter that he's banning individual tweets and blocking individuals. That's just foolish.
Hey,
I would be pulling my money out of all those deals.
Yeah, me too. I got a dump, buddy. Phantom Foundation put up for the governance vote the reduction in staking requirements for owning a node. So 50K, 75K, and 100K. So I'm excited to see that's up and running. Shizzy said Bitcoin just got over $28,600. He said 28,500 was huge resistance. Short squeeze could be coming next. All right, that's exciting to see.
I hope so, man.
Yeah,
I'm
awesome.
hoping for some runs here. I've got a couple of things out there that, I've been doing well, but I just need them to push a little bit further.
There you go.
So we need a nice rally.
Yep. Hey, Shizzy and Niblets, thanks so much for helping us out today. We appreciate you. If you're listening on the Apple Podcast or Spotify, please take a minute to rate and review us. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click that, smash that thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe and click the little bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. I hope everyone has a fantastic Monday. Joe, I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, buddy. You too. And what are we doing this week? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday and Thursday.
All right, so Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, cool. All right, man. Well, good luck today, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. All right,
see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.